Welcome to the Vernon Verdict. I'm your host, Jacob Verda, and today we're going to be recapping the NBA playoffs. A lot of things going on around the NBA. We got the conference finals matchup set in stone. We got the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference, and the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics taking on each other in the Eastern Conference. But we're going to recap the games last night. A lot of interesting looks. A lot of interesting moments throughout the game where we saw Luka Doncic completely take over. We saw the Phoenix Suns do, at this point, I guess what the Phoenix Suns do best, and that would be lose basketball games. Chris Paul holds he blew 5 2-0 leads throughout his career. And, I mean, if that doesn't say enough about Chris Paul and his playoff luck, I don't know what else will. Chris Paul, either has the injury bug or he just is in a slump shooting overall. And then you got guys around him like Jay Crowder and Devin Booker just not able to perform. What's your take on the Phoenix Suns and what's going on over there?
They had a real good season, right up until the end. I mean, it even looked competitive throughout the series, but, I mean, Game 7, it just was completely lost.
And for the number one seed to go in there and get dominated the way they did, that in Game 7 at least, that was rough. They were down by, 40 points, was it, at one point?
It got there.
It was rough. Especially being the number one seed, the fact that the New Orleans Pelicans were able to take them to 6 with that lineup that arguably shouldn't have even been in the NBA playoffs is just interesting. You got a team coming in the play-in, and then they go in against the 1 seed. They fight at home. They almost, muzzle home court advantage for Phoenix. And it's just making me really wonder how much does Chris Paul have left in the tank? Because he turned on the switch in New Orleans when it was needed to be turned on. But then when you go to Phoenix the next series, it seems like that switch that turned on burned a lot of energy and a lot of gas out of Chris Paul. And he needed his young guys and DeAndre Ayton to step up and Devin Booker to step up, and they just couldn't. Devin Booker was, 0 for 6 through the first 2 quarters?
Mm-hmm. I think they combined for 0 for 11. At one point, him and Chris Paul.
Yeah, and what was the stat? DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker and Chris Paul combining for
31 points.
31 points total. One of those players is expected to get 31 points by themselves entirely, but the fact that those 3 combined for 31 points was just really disappointing. But segueing into what's going to be an interesting Western Conference Finals, the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors, the first thing that's going to come to my mind and what I'm going to worry about is going to be the size difference. We got Luka Doncic. It's going to be, if they got him at point guard, that's one thing. He did play center throughout this matchup. There was a couple moments where he played out of position. Regardless, though, just based off of what the Dallas Mavericks have listed, Luka Doncic 6'7". Their shooting guard Brunson's 6'1". Bullock 6'6" at the 3. Smith is a 6'7" power forward, and Powell's 6'10" center. So I don't think this is that bad of a matchup for the Warriors in terms of the Warriors are small and they do run small ball. I just think that the Mavericks do have size, but they don't have a solid big man. They don't really have a lot of around the rim presence. And the fact that Draymond Green plays for the Warriors, probably one of the best defensive players in the league today, that's going to be really good to have him go out there and go up against Luka and maybe try to muzzle that. For Luka Doncic, red hot, and it's almost comparable to LeBron James in 2007.
Yeah. When
LeBron James led the Cavaliers, who didn't have any shooters, who didn't have any real scores, to the NBA Finals. It was impressive, and he averaged 25, 8, and 8 through 20 games. However, Luka Doncic is creeping up on those numbers. Luka Doncic is averaging right now 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Wow.
So these numbers are close, and Luka Doncic is entering an interesting point in his career. He's got more experience than the average player. He's played a lot of time overseas. He's got those championships. He's got that mindset. I don't think that there's much that's going to be able to phase Luka Doncic because I believe Luka Doncic has seen everything. He's been in everything, and the fact that he's red hot right now, and like Patrick Beverley said, nobody can guard him, and that shows. Luka Doncic goes out and goes 4 for 4 in the beginning, scores, had 27 points at half. You know who else had 27 points at half? The Phoenix Suns. The fact that he can play this game of basketball that well and make it seem like a video game almost. He's putting up 2K numbers, and he's sitting there and he's balling out confident, and nothing's phasing him. He's talking the whole entire time. You can see his mouth moving. He was talking to Celebrity Row. He's talking to Jay Crowder. And it seems like his confidence is at an all-time high. And once Luka gets to that point, he's almost unstoppable. Same thing for LeBron James. Same thing for someone who's going to be playing this next series and Steph Curry. How do you see the Western Conference Finals unfolding?
It's going to be interesting. I think Luka's really going to put on a show, but I think it all comes down to what the Warriors are doing at the end of the day. They dictate what goes on. I really feel like
Golden State has a crazy scheme in and of itself. The fact that Steve Kerr knows how to be in a winning situation and how to put on in the playoffs and how to keep a team's longevity and structure and offense. That experience with the Chicago Bulls he had, I think, is a big factor. Yeah. I mean, he's seen Phil Jackson in the works. He's seen Michael Jordan in the works. He knows what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Another thing why the Grizzlies and Warriors series was so close was because there was a lot of players hitting walls. There was a lot of newer guys like Jordan Poole and whatnot, figuring out how to get through their first slumps in the playoffs. Jordan Poole performed horribly. There was at one point where the NBA Super Boost on FanDuel was relying on Jordan Poole to make 3-3-pointers. And, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are good for it. But Jordan Poole had one bucket all night. And it was a 3-pointer, but it just goes to show he's been in a little bit of a slump as of late. I think if they can get Jordan Poole a little more comfortable and they can get him a little more set into the NBA playoff atmosphere.
No.
Now you got Klay, Steph, and Jordan. Right. It'd be impossible.
Shooters,
these guys,
and then someone who can drive like that.
If you can get all these guys active and the shooters consistent again, I think that this series will be wrapped up rather quick. It might be a 5-game series. The Warriors can take it quickly. This is a championship level team. Draymond Green can muzzle Luka. If Luka has a bad game, it might be over. Even if Luka can perform like he's been performing,
right?
I just don't know if he can keep up with Golden State Warriors.
It's a lot riding on Luka.
I've nicknamed him the Golden State Warriors buzzsaw for a while now because it just seems like anybody that steps foot against them in a 7-game series is going to inevitably get booted. Memphis Grizzlies, though, did show a lot of potential. They showed a lot of potential against them, and the fact that they didn't have John Morant, they were able to still keep up with the pace and still put on a show and flex a little bit of muscles was interesting. I was expecting that series to go to 7, but
I was too.
The fact that they were able to wrap it up quickly was pretty interesting. With the Eastern Conference, though, going into Milwaukee and what happened with that, Inside the NBA was talking about how the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics towards the end of the season, they had an opportunity to, secure home court advantage, and the Milwaukee Bucks didn't perform and didn't have the right guys out there to play. And they wound up losing the game, which wound up losing home court advantage, and we saw just how important that was throughout the Eastern Conference final or Eastern Conference semifinals. Boston is probably one of the toughest atmospheres to play in the country in terms of sports. I mean, you got teams like the Patriots, teams like the Red Sox, like the Bruins. You got all kind of tough fans, tough guys. How do you feel about Boston's chances faring in the future of the NBA playoffs?
Going forward in this next series in the finals,
and just overall, I mean, you saying in the finals, like you kind of.
I'm leaning for him, man. I really am. I think if you tie up Jimmy Butler with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, one of them's gonna have their shot, and they're gonna perform, and it'll be close, and I think it'll go 2-7 or at 6 or 7, but. I see Boston walking out of there.
And it's interesting because the seeding almost doesn't even matter today in terms of the NBA playoffs. We've seen a lot of lower seeds, put up a lot of good fights. But in this situation in the Eastern Conference, the lower seeds, both lower seeds, Boston and Dallas, hold a 2-1 regular season series lead over their opponents. So they're walking into this with confidence. They've beaten this team 2 out of 3 times throughout the season. Why can't they beat them 4 out of 7? With the way tides are looking and with the way the games have been played, the speed they've been played, and just now we're in the playoffs. It's do or die now. I think that the energy that these teams are putting out, they got their backs against the wall. They got nothing to lose. They're going out there. They're playing hard. Boston Celtics have a good defensive scheme. Defense does win championships, and when you can muzzle the defending champions like they did and completely work them. Yeah. I think that speaks volumes about what your team is capable of and what the future might look like for the Boston Celtics.
Definitely says a lot.
Going more towards the NBA Finals, though, if the Warriors play the Celtics, that might be one of the more interesting matchups we've seen lately in terms of NBA Finals. But at the same time, I don't want to write off the Dallas Mavericks. I do agree that the Warriors are going to go to the finals. However, Luke, like I said earlier, Patrick Beverley and even JJ Redick was saying how just difficult it is to guard Luka, and it's almost nearly impossible. The fact that Luka Doncic is on such a hot streak and how he's comparable to LeBron James says a lot. If LeBron James was gonna be put in that situation against that team, I'd have a hard time betting against them, because we've seen LeBron James against the Warriors. We've seen him come back 3-1. We've seen him do historic things. Right. Is Luka gonna start to push towards that upper echelon of NBA talent? I mean, he's creeping in there now. He's definitely arguably top 5 for sure. But will he be the best player in the league soon?
He's still young. After last night, just the way he started off, that there was glimpses of it. Like he could really just completely take over a game in a night for somebody, in the whole series. So I guess for where he's at right now, how old he is, he's doing really good, but maybe give it a year or two. Like you said, it should be interesting. And
I'm interested to see how they're going to handle Luka and the Maverick situation with the depth, and they're definitely going to need to add some star power to help him out, because Luka is, he's got some shooters around him, but he doesn't have anybody to help him out in terms of getting a rebound or getting open. This is just a thought for me, but I personally don't believe that the Denver Nuggets are going to be able to win with Nikola Jokic. I don't think that the Nuggets are going to be able to put a team around them. It's a hard sell.
It is hard.
Jamal Murray coming back, a lot of things might be different, but Jokic is he's in his prime years, as well as Embiid. Embiid's paired with Harden. These big men that are playing and balling right now, why wouldn't the Mavericks go out there? Why wouldn't Mark Cuban throw a couple dollars towards a big man and try to get Dallas their second championship?
I was about to say that would really make a championship run for them if they could have one really good big man to pair with Luka.
And they're creeping up on becoming an elite team in the NBA. Right. They're sitting here in the conference finals as a 4 seed. It looks like I said earlier, the seeding in the NBA is starting to erase. It's such a competitive game. In terms of the NFL, the seeding is normally true to the teams, how they're going to do and just about what to expect from them. But in the NBA, it's a whole different ball game. Now you don't have a one-game or a one-game series. Now you don't have a do-or-die moment. Now you get to go out here and, if you have a bad game or 2 or 3, you can come out, regroup, and move forward. This is one of the only sports where momentum can almost make a team come from nothing to something. A team can, like in the March Madness tournaments, these Cinderella stories come out of nowhere just off of the feel of the game and whatnot. What dark horse do you think going forward in the NBA would be a team to pay attention to? Someone that's not necessarily doing good right now, but you see doing good in the foreseeable future.
Charlotte's interesting.
Charlotte Hornets with LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting. Melo's entertaining. He's fun to watch. But they lack any help. It's LaMelo Ball out there, the LaMelo Ball show. So it's.
And with Michael Jordan being the team owner, I do think that there's going to be some push and some. He sees the star potential in LaMelo, and he's probably going to want to get out there and get him some help.
That would be great.
I think my pick would be, believe it or not, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Ooh.
I think the New Orleans Pelicans are a couple pieces away from being able to push deep into the playoffs. The fact that they were able to go out here without Zion and push into the playoffs as well as they did. The Pelicans losing Zion was a big blow. Zion's ready to go. Zion's ready to play. The Pelicans just need to put him out there on the court. He's out here doing 360s in Duke and 360s in New Orleans. He's a traveling dunk show at this point. He's almost a globetrotter more than an NBA All-Star. But I think next year, if Zion can find some footing and the Pelicans keep this momentum and keep this structure, I wouldn't be against seeing the Pelicans, crack into the top 6, top 5 of the Western Conference. I definitely do think there's a lot of good signings the Pelicans can do. They can target a lot of good necessary positions they need. They need a good combo guard. They need a good wing to be able to shoot and provide some good back. I mean, they got a lot of depth.
Oh, yeah.
They got a lot of guys that can go out there and perform. Jose Alvarado is interesting. I like Jose Alvarado more as a role player. I like him more as a defender, more as like a little, like fire stick piece. The fans love him. You put him in the court, everybody in the Smoothie King Center is going to go crazy. They're going to eat it up. They're going to love it. I wouldn't put the ball in his hands to shoot, though. That's my problem. I mean, the only two guys you can really trust on that team to shoot is going to be C.J. McCollum and Brandon Ingram.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, those guys weren't reliable throughout the playoffs. Right, so we might need to get like a Golden State instance where we got the Jordan Poole as the third string, because slumps are real. If these guys go on the slump, it's over, as we saw. If the Pelicans had someone to pick up the slack and to be able to spark something or be able to figure out an issue or create some offense, that'd be. I mean, you got Steven Adams, you got they have a lot of interesting pieces that the Pelicans can fit into their scheme. They got a lot of different things that they can do, because it's not like they just have one clear path. Like they don't need to just do this or just do that. They can do a different variety of things. Because the floor is open, the team's young, and their structure and their foundation isn't really set yet. But looking at the NBA draft, I'm excited about the Houston Rockets going to be able to pretty much take their pick at the entire draft board. Another disappointing season. Jalen Green's going to get another lottery pick to play with. Looks like Paulo Banchero or Chet Holmgren is going to be the favorites for Houston. Pretty cool. My personal preference would be Paulo Banchero. I mean, Chet's good, but look at where Paulo ended up, and I get it's a team game, but look at where Paulo ended up, and look at where Chet ended up. Chet got upset. Paulo made it to the big dance, even though he came up short. I think Paulo's championship mentality is what you can't teach. The fact that he's got that drive. I would go all in on him. I would draft him first. I would pair him with the Jalen Green. I would go. If I was Houston, I think that's the piece. Houston definitely is going to be trigger happy, because they have had bad instances in the past with players like James Harden, where you go all in on a player and then you build an entire team around him, and if it just doesn't work, the team tanks and the team fails. And in the Rockets instance with James Harden, they put a lot of pieces around him. They put Chris Paul around him. They put Dwight Howard around him. They put Russell Westbrook around him. They put a lot of guys, and now he's with Joel Embiid and still not winning. So at what point do you say, is the problem James Harden? Is the problem the schemes? NBA basketball is hard and playoff basketball is rough. But, if James Harden time again doesn't show up when he's needed to show up, it makes you question the player, not the game in this instance.
Repetitive with him. It's just every year. Man, every year it's something different with James Harden. He's either playing with someone new or at this point on a new team, and it's just, to me, it just, like you said, it's not working out.
I think part of the problem here with James Harden is going to be his focus. I don't think he's as focused and as dialed in as many championship athletes are supposed to be. I mean, you see it in time again where he's going to be going out to the club with a rapper or, missing training camp to hang out with Lil Baby in Paris.
Right.
But it doesn't really make sense to me. Where's your head at? Like Kobe used to be out here working out 3 o'clock in the mornings, 9 o'clock in the morning, noon. He'd work out 3-4 times a day. James Harden is out here maybe drinking 3-4 times a day. He's not taking it as serious as he should have as a max contract athlete. You'd expect a whole lot more from him. You'd expect a whole lot more. You expect a whole lot more commitment. I think what may be James Harden's problem is his game just doesn't transition well at that level. I think he's up and down. Highs are really high, lows are really low, and in playoff time, you can't do that. No, it's consistency, and you're gonna need you're gonna need to produce when it's time to produce. You can't just sit there and scratch your head and just not show up, especially in Philadelphia. Look at what they did to Ben Simmons. I'm wondering when the James Harden stuff is. It's not all his fault, but at the same time, he definitely does need to figure something out. And he definitely does need to be a little bit more of a leader and step up when it's time to step up. Look at Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler can lead the Heat whenever. Jimmy Butler will put everything into the game. Jimmy Butler will be so tired that he's going to lean down against a scorer's table and take a breath before he even gets back in the locker room. Jimmy Butler is ball first, rest last. James Harden has that Sixers team has potential. They got Embiid, they got Tyrese Maxey, they got James Harden. They got a lot of guys. This is one of the best teams that James Harden, actually, second best team. But it seems like when James Harden has he needs a smaller role. I think when James Harden has a smaller role, they have more success. Especially because when you look at the year that James Harden was the most successful in terms of how far he made it in the playoffs, he was a 6-man. James Harden made it to the finals with the Thunder, but he wasn't the one taking all the shots. Because when you rely on someone that's not consistent, inconsistency will kill you. And in the NBA playoffs, you need to be on your game all the time. You need to be the Luka Doncic. You need to be the Steph Curry. So in this instance, Sixers are going to have to go back to the drawing board. They're the GM, Daryl Morey, traveled from Houston to Philly with Harden. So we still got the brains behind the operation over there, and you're still running into the same problems.
Yeah, bro, that's not good.
It's just repeated history. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I think we might have to put Daryl Morey on an insanity test here soon.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to keep on just doing the same thing over and over again, bro.
I think that the NBA playoffs are very exciting. I think that the Warriors are going to be able to put on a good show. I think Steve Kerr's got a lot of things up his sleeve. For my prediction for what's going to happen in this series, I think that Luka Doncic is still going to go off. He's still going to be able to perform. I think the fact that Draymond Green has a little bit of prior knowledge, prior experience with dealing with guys like this. Draymond would guard LeBron. Draymond would, help out against guys like Kyrie Irving or Giannis. You know, he guarded elite talent a lot. Oh, yeah. He's the Defensive Player of the Year at some point for a reason. I believe that the Dallas Mavericks are going to come out here and, they're not going to just get rolled. It's not going to just be a breeze game. I don't see it going 7. I don't see it going that long. That would take a lot of, like I said, that big word, consistency. And I think that, this year in the NBA playoffs, the theme has been when a team gets caught and it just piles up quick. It's unstoppable. That lead is insurmountable, especially going down the wire in these late games. I got the Warriors in 6 is what I'm going to say. I'm going to trust my gut. And then going towards that Heat and Boston series, man, the Heat can fight.
No,
that series could definitely go 7, and if it does, Boston doesn't have the home court advantage. If Boston doesn't have Game 7 in Boston against Milwaukee, do they win? I think going forward for the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo, you got Jimmy Butler, you got a lot of guys that are going to come out here and they're ready. They've been in the finals. They played the Phoenix Suns. They've played elite championship level talent. It's not their first rodeo. Jimmy Butler might be looking for revenge.
That is true. I guess it comes down to, like you said, consistency. If they can keep that up, they keep it up. If they don't, I mean, it can go either way, I'm
wondering where Tyler Hero has been. I mean, Tyler Hero is showing up in that NBA Finals run, but we need to see a little bit more pep in his step going into this series. They're going to need it. Marcus Smart with that Defensive Player of the Year award for Boston. That's huge. I mean, it just shows defense can definitely win championships. Defense is your main focal point. If you can go out there and muzzle somebody, make them shoot 20%, and then y'all string together a 30% shooting game.
You won the basketball game at that point.
But I think in the NBA, though, good offense beats good defense. I think that someone can shoot over a hand, someone can shoot over contested. It's just that Boston doesn't play just good defense. They play great defense. They get the ball out your hand. They get you pressured. They get you in traps. They play the 2-man. They play the numbers game. That's what's important. You can't in today's game. It's not 1-on-1, and that's what makes the Warriors so deadly in today's game. That it's not 1-on-1. The Warriors are going to spread the floor, and they're going to move the ball so quick. Everyone's going to get in their zones. Everyone's going to find their man. Everyone's going to get lost in the sauce. Pretty much, the ball's going to be moving around so fast that everybody's heads turn. And the next thing you know, Jordan Poole's open, and hopefully he can make the 3. Or next thing you know, Klay Thompson's open, or those Splash Brother, Steph Curry, Klay little connection we got. Steph's coming off screens all the time, and I mean, look, we'd like to see Draymond get back into the 3-point realm, but man, I think
that's scary.
I think he had to trade in a skill. I think Draymond Green had to trade in he had too many skills, so he had to replace one to get another. So with that new podcasting gig he's got, he had to give up his 3-point shooting ability, and that's where it's been. His over-under's been sitting at 8 points per game, and sometimes he don't even hit it.
That's wild.
Draymond Green's definitely been raising a couple eyebrows, but going towards NFL football, a little brief moment here. New Orleans Saints signed Jarvis Landry. It's looking crazy. It's looking crazy for the Saints. They got Tyrann Mathieu. They got Jarvis Landry there. They already got their red-hot defense. Now the question is, will Jameis Winston be able to perform? Jameis Winston gets the tools that he needs. Jameis Winston won't have Kamara for, probably 6 weeks of the season is what it's looking like. But at the same time, He still has Michael Thomas. He still has Chris Olave. He still has Jarvis Landry. And it's yet to be seen what Odell Beckham's going to do. Seems that he's rumored to go to Green Bay to replace this guy right here. Yeah. That'd be a cheap get, but would I trust Odell Beckham Jr. going into next season after that ACL injury?
As your number one wide receiver?
I don't think he'd be number one in Green Bay. No. Number one's going to be Allen Lazard.
Oh, yeah.
Allen Lazard's proven he's there. And a big thing is, I don't think you're going to determine primary receivers off of star power type, like Odell's a big star, but Rodgers trusts Lazard. When Rodgers is going to have a primary route, he's going to have a guy where he needs to hit him, and he wants to make sure his guys catch the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Sammy Watkins is a good signing. I believe that he's going to provide a good role.
That is a really good signing. That's a veteran.
And we draft Christian Watson in the second round. Packers in the second round have a pretty good rap sheet. We've gotten guys like Devontae Adams. We've gotten guys like Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson. There's been a lot of guys in the second round that have come to Green Bay and performed at the wide receiver position. Now, how much of that is, credit to Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre? Yeah. But I really don't even know. If that would really matter in this situation. I think that the fact that Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback for the next 3-4 years, the wide receivers around him, whether he makes them better or they're just good, is a moot point. They're going to be able to perform regardless. But going into Devontae Adams, he's got a lot of talent, but he doesn't have the same arm. He doesn't have the same arm throwing to him.
Have the same quarterback.
Will Devontae Adams be able to perform in Las Vegas like he was performing in Green Bay? He's still going to be a great guy. A lot of those skills he's got are intangible. His route running's perfect. He can get up and get over, and he uses his body to catch the football. But those balls might not be placed in the same
Derek
spot.
Carr is not Aaron Rodgers, man.
And there's a lot of different things. Like Devontae and Aaron had like a little connection. You can see Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show say that he can just kind of feel where Devontae is. He can kind of just know what he's going to do. They were on the same page. Devontae could make something out of nothing almost. Aaron would just look and Devontae's there wide open. Derek Carr and him did play at Fresno State, but at the same time, do they have that connection?
Right, that was a long time ago.
And then this is pro football now. This is a whole lot different, and Devontae's game's a whole lot different. He's a whole different person. I think that it's going to be definitely interesting to see how these star players transition into their new role. I wouldn't get too caught up in the fact that, the Von Millers are going to Buffalo or whatnot. Buffalo's Super Bowl odds skyrocketed, and they haven't even made a significant chance to make it out of the AFC. I think the fact that without Josh Allen showing some true colors, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you got a lot of question marks sitting around the NFL going into next year.
Without a doubt.
A lot of guys.
I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be a great season.
And the Verdict covered our predictions for the 2022 NFL season. You can catch that on the YouTube, and you can catch more daily clips live on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all under the Verdant Verdict. This has been the Verdant Verdict, and hopefully we got some more competitive NBA basketball coming through. Hopefully we don't have any more snooze fest, 30-point game blowouts. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, man. We're just, like you said, looking forward to the rest of the NBA playoffs.
And we're going to see how these predictions fare out. Hopefully we get some competitive series this year going forward. Well, that'll be all for today's surprise Monday edition. We'll be hosting some more Monday morning shows at 9 a.m., Friday at 7 p.m. still. And daily clips uploaded, Twitter constantly uploaded, live game feed, live game updates, and a whole lot more. Well, this has been the Verdant Verdict. Thanks for tuning in, and y'all enjoy the rest of your Monday.